We are staring down the possibility of a 20% cut across the board for Social Security payments. You've heard it, you've seen it. 2033, Social Security becomes insolvent. People begin to start thinking about, well, when should I take it? And does this potential cut change the math, change the values that I'm going to be getting so that I should probably take it early? Or maybe I should delay. And I've done the math. And I did it in a scenario where there's a 20% cut in Social Security, and I've done it where Social Security is fixed, and I'm going to show you the results, and I think it's going to surprise you because it certainly surprised me. Let me bring in my co-host. Not a surprise, Tony. Welcome to the show. You know what is surprising, Tony? When
What's
we
that?
started working together, you were in your 40s, I was in my 30s, and now you're in your 60s. And when we started talking about Social Security, we were looking at a insolvency year 2036, 2037 when we started working together. And now the latest is 2033. And now you're really close to making that decision of taking Social Security or not.
Now, wait a minute. You're saying the outlook was a lot better when we started. It's worse now. Are you saying we're to blame? Something you've said on the show, Dan, has caused Social Security to deplete quicker? The advice you've been giving? Is that the issue?
Well, I think this looming cut might change the behaviors of people, and rightly so.
Yeah, the looming cut.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is less money is going into Social Security through payroll taxes than is coming out. So normally, what's been happening in the past is people pay payroll tax, and that money then goes into the government and right back out to the people claiming. But less people are working, more people are taking Social Security. So now we're at a point where it's going to be close to only 80% of the money coming in is going to be there to go out. So where's the other 20% going to come from? And the question becomes, will the government just cut it across the board, which is one potential outcome. So I wanted to do a scenario that says, should I claim it at 62 or as early as possible if they make this 20% cut across the board happen? And I also ran the same numbers and said, what if they fix it? Because I know you're a big proponent of fixing things. You believe they're going to fix it, don't you?
I do believe they're going to fix it. I think they have three major ways to fix it. They'll raise the full retirement age, your FRA, from 67 to maybe even 70, but at least 68, 69, maybe 70. So raising the full retirement age would bring in more money. Also raising Social Security tax that we pay out of, that workers pay in. Now it's like, what is it? 6.2 for the employee and 6.2 for the employer. So it's about 12.4% is getting paid in. They'll raise that number to 13 or 14, and then they'll take the cap off or raise the cap on how much income they withdraw Social Security tax from when people are in their working years. Right now, it's, what is it, 189,000 or somewhere in there? Somewhere in there.
It's to inflation.
Yeah. So it's tied to inflation, but anybody making 200,000 or more, they're not paying, like, let's say I make 500,000 a year. Let's say I'm a C-suite person, an owner or a founder, and I'm making some sweet money. I'm pulling in, $1.2 million a year, and my bonus is 500,000. That $1.2 million a year, I'm only paying into Social Security on 180,000 of it, or right around there.
Yeah, you're done putting in by March.
Yeah, exactly. So if they take away that limit and yet don't raise how much is paid out to those people, so that would have to pass. Yep. And that's that one's a sticky wicket. But if I was them, I would do all three, and Social Security be good for another 200 years.
Well, Tony, what if I told you that it doesn't matter if they fix it or not? The math is suggesting the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is relevant to you and to the listener, obviously, because you're still wondering, hey, Dan, what should I do? 62? I don't know if they're going to fix it. I kind of agree with you, Tony. I think they'll do a combo, but let's say they don't. Right. And let's say they cut 20% across the board. Yikes. Which, again, I don't know if that's what will happen either. they'll probably do some means testing cut, or people making above a certain amount, they get cut more, so on. But let's just assume it's a 20% across the board. What do you think you should do if that was the case? Claim it early or not? That's what I want to share.
I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
tell you. I'm going to answer it.
I don't know. I think it might be a wash, but let's hear what you have to say.
So let's assume you're turning 62 in 2026.
Okay.
And your full retirement age benefit at 67.
I got a couple of years yet, people. I've got a couple of years yet.
But the listener might
down.
not. They might be 63 saying, should I turn it on today?
Right.
And let's say, for the math purposes that I'm going to show you the math, that $2,000 is your full retirement age benefit at 67, which means that if you take it at 62, you're going to get $1,400 because you're claiming early, right? I'm also going to throw in what you're going to do with the money, and I'm going to throw in a cost of living. I'm going to use 2.5%. I know it's been higher lately, but let's just use 2.5% for cost of living. I'm going to put that you're going to reinvest the funds at 5% return, compounding. So you're taking the money early and reinvesting. I'm also going to assume that 85% and no more of your Social Security benefit is taxable, because we know right now 15% is tax-free. We've done shows on all of this, but I'm just saying what the assumptions are for this scenario. And I'm also going to show a 22% tax bracket. So when you do claim the benefit and you start paying taxes on it, you're paying 22%. And I'm also going to show a 15% long-term capital gains on the growth. All right. So Tony, let me share this chart. Now, for the listeners on Spotify or whatever, you can't see, but what this chart shows is who's the winner, claiming it at 62, 67, or 70, if there's a 20% cut across the board for Social Security. And Tony, in that right column there, who's the winner?
Oh, wow.
At age 75, age 80, 85, age 90, at 95, meaning if you live to 95, it makes sense for you to claim it at 62.
That's crazy. How could that possibly be? That's wild.
Well, I've talked about in the past about delaying Social Security, but in this scenario, with a 20% cut across the board, it makes sense to take it early. And there's a main reason for that, Tony.
Yeah.
There's a main reason, and that is you're going to reinvest it at a 5% return. Meaning you don't need the money. You don't need the money.
So how you get there is you're getting more checks. They are at a lower amount. You're locking in a lower rate at 62, which we've talked about can be problematic. But if they're going to, this is if they cut Social Security by 20%, and you take your Social Security at 62 and reinvest it.
Yes.
This is what, then it's wise to take it at 62, because these numbers are what happens. But this is assuming what, 7% growth average?
5% growth. It assumes
only 5. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
That's being realistic, because you know the market has averaged way more than that over the last so many years. So that's a realistic number. But I want to point out, Dan, to our listeners and viewers, this is only if somebody files for Social Security. The only problem with this theory is if somebody files for Social Security, it's typically because they need it to live on, or they're going to spend it.
Right.
Now, if you file and reinvest, if you're in a position to do that, I guess you're talking to those who have other funds, they have a pension, they have IRAs, so they don't absolutely have to have this to live on month to month. Reinvest it. Then it makes financial sense. And the numbers are great. In fact, if you file at 62 and reinvest it, is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying, for sure.
Wow.
Especially, and this is for a single person claiming at 62. Absolutely, take it early. If you can reinvest it and get 5%, you might even get more. You could get less, and it still makes sense, right? And the reason is because those early checks, whether it's 6-8 years extra of checks, that compounding growth early is difficult to overcome. Let's look at it if there are no cuts, Tony. Do you think the math changes? if they say, let's fix it, we're going to fix it somehow in one of the many ways, because you're going to be on the Social Security trustee board next year, right? I put your name in for
once they
nomination.
see this show, I'm assuming they're going to give me a call. Yeah.
Right, right. So let's look at it if there's a no 20% cut. What happens then? Here's the new chart, Tony. If you live to 75, better take it at 62. If you live to 85, better to take it at 62. It's only until you reach age 90 that it starts to break even, that there's a tie between taking it 62 and 67. And if you live past 95, then it makes sense to take it at 70, barely.
Wow.
So no cuts, claiming at 62 still wins until the early 90s. And again, this is really because those early checks help. But if there's a 20% cut, then the early checks help early claiming. If there is no cut, it's not as dramatic to take it early. But it still makes sense to take it early, regardless of how long you live or if they cut it or not. Because again, you're reinvesting the money. You have to reinvest that money. Was this surprising to you?
It is surprising to me, I guess. But the thing is, Dan, the kicker here is even if they fix Social Security, it doesn't drop by 20%. It looks like it still makes sense to take it at 62 if you can reinvest that money. So, and we've never come at it from this angle. I think in all the years we've been doing this, and we've talked about Social Security so much, we've talked about, does it make sense to file at 62? Should you wait till full retirement age? In what instance? And it's different for everybody. Everybody's situation is different. But we've never put out the numbers that say if you reinvest and make at least 5% on the money, it makes sense to file early at 62. That's what you're telling us today. I've never heard anyone else say this. This in my 13 years of working in the financial world.
And the reason why, Tony, is because there's some caveats which I want to go through.
Okay, yeah. Well, the reinvesting it part is the
that's the biggie.
Is the new twist here, a new angle. But I think there are people listening. We know there are people listening who have enough to do this. But the Social Security, so for them, it's like, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll just wait till 70. But because I have other money, right, to use. And that's what most financial advisors will tell you. If you have other money to pull from, let your Social Security go up to 70. That is the most common advice given that you'll hear out there from almost all, not all, but almost all financial advisors. But they're not considering if you already have enough in your other means to live on, why not take Social Security early, reinvest it, and make more money on it long term?
Especially if you're single. And that's what the caveat comes to, Tony. And you're going to be close to claiming in a couple of years. You could. What I just told you is you should take it early, regardless if they cut it or not. Right? I can get you a 5% return. Can I? But
nothing's guaranteed. But yes,
you're married though. And
yes.
so that's a huge caveat.
Okay.
So spousal benefits change everything. If you're married or divorced, you're widowed, you have you're a widower, that changes what you should do. And claiming early may not make the sense because you have a spouse that's relying on yours. And if you're cutting yours down, you're hurting your spouse. That's the widow's trap, or we did shows on it, the rib limb. So we know that being married in the United States impacts Social Security in a big way. So that's a huge caveat. You can't just jump feet first into taking it 62 because the math says I can reinvest it and I can do better than 5%. I can get 10%. I can get 8%, whatever.
Sure.
Then take it early if you're going to reinvest it. And if you're not married, because that changes it. Because the marriage part changes it dramatically.
Yeah.
Some other things, life expectancy matters, your health. So it really comes down to the personalization of it all. Don't panic claim. I'm calling it panic claim, new word. Don't panic claim because you think it's going to get cut 20%. Although I just told you should, right? I just told everyone it makes sense to do it, but don't panic. Get the personalized review and figure out, does it make sense for me?
Yeah, because
Does this
everybody's numbers are
actually,
different. You've got to do the math, like you always say, Dan. You've got to do the math. And before we go, I saw you put the QR code. People can just click that and go right to the page. If they take a shot of that QR code, it'll take them there. I think that's awesome, by the way, and it's a great resource. You should do that. Get your personalized review. However, Dan, I always hear, I'm going to challenge this a little bit, because most financial advisors tell me, they say, Tony, the reason you wait, if you have other means of living, let your Social Security right up to 70, because it goes up. The rate Social Security increases because they add on the amount increases per year you wait, right? But
yes.
even if so it goes up 8% a year, they're thinking, well, you can't count on making 8% a year if you take it out and invest it. So it's better to let it roll up. But what they're not counting is you're locking in a much lower amount, and you're making 8% on a lower amount. I don't know, but you don't make 8% until between 67 and 70. So that's only what, 3 years?
Well, you do. You make over 6% by letting
Right.
it roll up before then.
Sure.
But again, the math suggests, Tony, especially if there's a cut,
Right.
that you better have the money early if you reinvest it, because that compounding growth is difficult for even the generous Social Security cost of living and additional delayed retirement credits. You can't overcome early compounding.
That's
But
true.
at source, you can't. You have to reinvest. That's the other thing. You said it right away. What if you don't get like 5%? Well, yeah, I can get 8, but what if I don't? What if I lose 8?
Yeah.
Right. And that's the risk. Is yes, there's a reinvestment risk. What if you can't reinvest it and get 5% guaranteed? I mean, you could get that now. Maybe you can lock that in for 10 years with a multi-year fixed annuity or something like that. But there's a risk involved in reinvesting. What if you don't get those returns? Then now you've locked in a lower income for the rest of your life. You've lost money through investment, and you're guaranteed to get a lesser amount for the rest of your life. So it can work against you if you don't get the returns. And that's really the risk. So that's why you shouldn't necessarily just go off of this saying, oh, yeah, I can get 5%. It makes sense. It does make sense if you do the math. That's what I was trying to show. But what if one of those things changes? What if the return's different? What if you're married? What if you live really long? All of that impacts it. So again, there's not a correct answer. But if we're just going to look at it in a vacuum and say, I can reinvest it, should I take it early? The answer is yes, which is very different than what I've said in the past in terms of just generally speaking. So don't panic because of the headlines, though. That much, I think we can both agree. And if you can reinvest it, yeah, of course, compound interest makes sense. It's like why I tell my kids, hey, you had your first job washing dishes. One of them is baking cookies now, his first job.
Wow.
Take that money and put it in a Roth. Dad, I'm 16. Yeah, you'll thank me in 50 years.
Sure.
Delayed gratification.
What I tell my kids.
Right.
Allison opened a Roth at 21 and puts $200 in a month. She'll be a multimillionaire by the time she's 65.
Assuming compounding growth, which
assuming compounding growth. Yes,
right?
Yes, of course. There's always a risk with everything, but if the market does what it's done over the last 100 years, she'll be set.
Right.
There's no guarantee of the market doing for the next 100 years aren't guaranteed to be the same as the previous. But even if they're close, we're in good shape.
Right. And I feel more confident for your daughter, growth oriented, than you, who's got, you're 40 years older than her. So it's like, hey, I don't have the time to ride the wave. Maybe I have to go and then reinvest my Social Security check at a lower growth rate because it's not risky. And then it's like, well, if you're just going to try and eliminate risk, just delay Social Security, because that's the whole point of it, is to delay the longevity risk. So again, and if you're married, everything changes. So I hope this was useful, Tony. I'm hoping, and I'm challenging people, watch the show on contacting your local representative to fix Social Security. We did a whole show on that, how easy it is. But yeah, man, the math, Tony, take it early. Wow. Did you think I would be telling you that?
No, I did not. And this is a hot take. I love this. And hopefully people will see this, look forward to comments, and click on that QR code. But again, you need a personalized maximization report run. I know you do that for folks, Dan, so that's great.
Yeah, I will. Just let me know you want a Social Security maximization report. I will do it for you, send it to you via PDF, and then you can use that to make your decisions, or at least begin the conversation.
Excellent.
All right, Tony. Thanks for a good show. We'll catch up with you in 2 years to see whether or not you're ready to turn it on early. We'll see.